Welcome to On Point with Patrick Omosage. Today, I'm going to make a whole lot of very serious points. I'm going to go back a little bit and talk about the garbage refuse situation in Lagos State. I'm going to talk a little bit about how Nigeria is really becoming a joke, because now we are having all types of animals, all type of zoo animals eating up money in Nigeria. But let me start with something that is becoming almost a pattern for us. It is really sad to know that we again in Nigeria have lost 100 girls. And I use the word lost because we don't know when they're going to come back. They're missing. They've been taken again by the so-called Boko Haram terrorists. I say so-called because we don't know whether the government has eliminated them. We hear stories, it's all over for them. We've won that war. Then we hear that they need $1 billion or $2 billion to fight them. And then all of a sudden, the last couple of days, 48 hours or so, we hear the story that they have taken 100 girls and have run off into the bushes. The same Sambisa forest that we say that our soldiers have cleared out. It's really sad. Now, why is this? Why does this happen? Who knows? In 2014, that was when we first had this kind of a situation, the Chibok girls. That was exactly about 1 year to the elections that brought in Buhari. The former president, Jonathan, really failed to address or even acknowledge this disappearance of these girls for quite some time. And there were so many stories surrounding it. What happened? Did it happen at night? Where was the principal? How come there were no adults taken along with them? You know, the whole thing was just a mess. But look, it became a real worldwide issue. Bring back our girls became huge around the world. The wife of the former president of the United States, Michelle Obama, actually even then hashtagged that, bring back our girls. This time around, I don't think anybody's going to pay attention to this, at least on a worldwide level, because I don't even think a lot of people have heard about this. But I'm saying it again. Here's the point. 100 young females, young girls, 13, 14-year-old girls are again missing in Nigeria. This time, where they're calling them the Dapchi girls. Dapchi. They're missing. We don't know when they're coming back. We at least we have an idea what happens to them, because when some of the Chibok girls were returned, pregnant and with babies and all that after 2-3 years in captivity. This is not fair to our system. This is not fair to our people. The sole reason, I say this, the sole reason that Buhari was elected president was because of the security concerns of many Nigerians. Being a former army general and a former head of state, a lot of people felt that he had the wherewithal to lead this country and make this country a lot more secure. But believe me, 1 year to his possible re-election, this is happening. It's funny, but it shouldn't be that funny, because this is a country that is showing time and time again that doesn't get its bearing clear, because right now all types of stories are out there. Who did this? Is this really a conspiracy? Is this to give the president some kind of power and then bring back the girls all of a sudden to the jubilation and adoration of people? Or is it people that are against him that have done this in order to make him look bad? In any case, in either way, this is not something we should be doing. It shouldn't be happening. Young girls shouldn't be taken away from their school into captivity for whatever reason. It's a shame that we're doing this, and it's not really fair to the country as a whole. The security issue, what brought Buhari to power, is still very much around. I'm not going to say it's getting worse, because I don't really think that's the case. But when we have serious cases like this of kids being taken away, or girls being taken away, girls in particular being taken away, you can imagine what could happen to them. And that's always our fear. So with that, Even though it's a very long introduction, and I couldn't help it. But with that, I really welcome you to On Point. My name is Patrick Omosage. I'll take a quick break. When I come back, I'll wrap up with my points on this issue of the dap chick girls. So we'll take a very quick break and I'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On Point with Patrick Omosage. The dap chick girls are missing. That's the new word or the new phrase this time. It's not the Chibok girls now, it's the dap chick girls. Taken from their school in the last 3 days ago or so, taken from their school, just like what happened to the Chibok girls. Nobody knows who took them. We all suspect the Boko Haram terrorists, and they said they came into town in their Land Rovers or whatever, pickup vans, and shooting in the air, scattering people all over, going to the school and take about 100 girls, and they just disappear into thin air. We were told that this town that had been secured for quite some time by the military, that the military had just pulled out. And this is what normally causes all this controversy. The military just pulled out. Of course, if Boko Haram were going to come in, they're going to wait until the military pulls out. And that's what we're hearing. The military just pulled out and boom, Boko Haram comes in and takes these young, beautiful girls, obviously as brides and slaves and whatever you want to call them. That's what they're going to use them for. Now, this country has to get its act together. This cannot keep happening. And if anybody is using this as a political tool, for or against the president, then it's a huge shame on all of us. This is not something we should be celebrating either way. Girls are missing. Let's go find them. Let's bring them back to their parents and bring them back to our society. So that's where I would say, that's where I would put a stop on that one. I hope I've made my point on that one. But I'm going to go back to two stories that I touched on last week that are really still very, very important to me. One is that this country, our country, Nigeria, is really becoming a laughing stock. There was a time we had rodents, or so we're told, rodents chased our president out of his office. And that is why he couldn't be around for some time, or that is why he couldn't come to his office to work. Rodents in our own White House, Aso Rock. I mean, how does that happen? How does that happen? You could guess the best exterminators from anywhere in the world that would clean the place out within a few hours. But our president decided to stay out of office because, as we were told, rodents had infiltrated and done so much damage that he couldn't be in the office. We left that alone because that's what we do in Nigeria. We laughed about it, we questioned it for a few days, and we all moved on. Because look, we have to go find what to eat. Our bread and butter matters a lot to us. So we all moved on. Then a couple of weeks ago, the story started circulating that a young staffer in the JAMB office in Benue State, who had sold charge cards for registration of JAMB or something like that, but had accumulated 36 million cash in an office, said the money was now missing, but that a snake had swallowed up the money. Boy, was that some, reason to give for missing money. Points here are, two questions really always comes to mind. How do we keep so much money? 36 million, like I said last time in the last program, is about $100,000. For those of us that live abroad, in Europe or in America, I don't see anybody. There's no company you work for that handles, I don't care how big the company is. We don't handle $100,000 cash. It's just not there. That is what banks are for. That is what ATMs are for when you need money. But 36 million was swallowed by a snake. The snake has obviously disappeared, so there's no way. I know there's no way 36 million can digest in a snake. I don't care what kind of venoms or that the snake has. You know, if we had found the snake, we'll cut up the snake and get out the 36 million. But that one is gone now. Then all of a sudden, what are we hearing next? 70 million is missing. To what? To who? To monkeys this time. To monkeys. 70 million that belongs to the Northern Senators Caucus. 70 million was put in the house of one senator who was the leader of the caucus, Senator Abdullahi Adamoy of Nasarawa State. He said he put this money in his country home, let's put it that way, in his village, and monkeys have come around and taken the money. Two questions again. How do you give someone 70 million to keep? Don't we have banks in the north? That's the first question. Don't we have banks in the north? And why do we continue to entrust Nigerians, or I'll put it this way, entice Nigerians with cash? Cash is the most enticing thing in the world. I mean, to me, it's like we really put people in the position to steal our money. Now, some senators, after he has been taken off his position, I mean, that's the only punishment he's going to get. He's not going to be kicked out of the Senate. They just took his position as their leader in the Northern Caucus. They tell us that this is money that the 7th Senate, that is the last Senate before this group of senators, transferred this money to the 8th Senate. Now, how do they transfer it? In Ghana must go bags? It's very difficult for us to understand. Guys, please, those of you listening and watching this program, get to me on my Twitter handle, because this is an important issue for those of us that live outside Nigeria. How many of you have ever seen $100,000 cash? But when you go to Nigeria, you see people with millions of naira in a little bag, in a little Ghana must go in a briefcase. That's the way we do transactions. And these things are very money, like I said, or cash, very enticing. It makes people do things they probably don't want to do. So that's it. 2 months, on the last 3 years, 2 years, we've been having cases of animals, rodents, snakes, now monkeys, having to disrupt our society. It's very interesting. This country has got to get its act together. The point being is that we should stop playing with cash. We have to have better standards of how we guard money. Money is very important. But the way we throw it around, the way we make it seem, 70 million, why would anybody be given 70 million to keep? What happens to banks? What happens to even the safe in the Senate building in Abuja? Why should he keep it at home, in his village in Nasarawa? These are things that, we just have to change. If we are ever going to fight corruption in Nigeria, we have to start to find a way to develop institutions or systems that really become institutionalized, that makes us not do the things we do. I'll take another quick break. When I come back, I will touch go back to another topic I touched last week, which is the problem of garbage, refuse, whatever you want to call it, in Lagos State, that is really disrupting the system today in Lagos. I'll take a quick break and I'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching On Point with Patrick Omo-Osagie. I said I was going to touch on the Lagos garbage problem or refuse collection problem. Lagos switched from using its former, Lagos, in the last 10 years has been relatively clean by all standards. From the Tinubu up to the Fashola periods, Lagos developed a nice little network for its garbage collection. People paid for garbage collection through their local government. I mean, they collected the money house by house, and then they divided to private contractors who the Lagos state government contracted and who now picked up the garbage. And they did a relatively very good job. I mean, Lagos didn't have, you would say that Lagos didn't have a mass piling of garbage problem. But all of a sudden, the new governor, Ambody, disregards or discards that system and brings in a company, I think it's a Dubai company or an Indian company or whatever, Visionscape, and they're now in charge of garbage collection in Lagos. And Lagos is now overrun. I mean, and the pictures will show it, overrun by garbage. They just can't handle it. They claim it's because they're just starting out and all that. Even if you're starting out, there should have been a transitional period. I mean, that's what you do. You just don't cut off and then, you know, you have this all masked up and then you now have the problem to do it. It is crazy that we keep doing stuff like this to ourselves. I'm not going to question Ambody why he made that decision. I always think that people like that get to become a governor of a state has good enough knowledge or ideas in his head, and that is why people voted him. And even apart from even voting him, even though a lot of people say it's not about voting in Nigeria and all that, but he's there. He didn't go there because he's not, I don't want to say brilliant, but not intelligent. I'm sure he believes that the new thing he's trying to do will work. I'm sure he believes that. I don't think he's doing it for just doing its sake. He believes it's probably going to be a better program than what we had the last time. But there are issues with it now. And in every sane country, and I always use the word sane, he should be punished for it. The people of Lagos deserve better. They haven't had a garbage refuse problem for years. And all of a sudden they have this problem, which is huge. A city of 22 or a state of 22 million people, even though I doubt those numbers, 22 million, that's a huge, huge city. But 22 million people, so they say, shouldn't be having a problem like this because it causes all types of disruption. I can't even go into the health issues, but just the disruption because half the roads are blocked by refuse. I'd say I used to live in Chicago, actually taught in Chicago for many years. And I remember in 1979, what happened in Chicago. It was a snowstorm, it was a blizzard that the mayor, and that's who people blamed, the mayor could not control how snow was pushed aside or packed or whatever you want to call it. But it disrupted the city. The city came to a standstill. 10, 15, almost 20 days. Nobody could do anything. No school, no work, no public transportation, no garbage or refuse collection. You can imagine what the city of Chicago looked like. Yes, there was a blizzard. Yeah. You got 20 inches of snow in a 24, 34, 36 hour period. So what? You know what the people of Chicago did? He was voted out of office in the primary, which happened a few months just after the snowstorm in 79 in January. By April, they voted him out. He lost the election in the primaries of his own party. Michael Bilandic, that was his name. That was the name of the mayor of Chicago that time. He lost. The people couldn't stand it. There's enough, like they said, there's enough manpower, there's enough equipment in Chicago. Chicago is rich enough to take care of snow. It's a snowy city. You should know that it's a snowy city. So for us to have a 20-day problem, the people of Chicago were not going to stand for it, and they voted him out. Now, here is the point I'm trying to make. The people of Lagos, it's 1 year to an election. If you're this dissatisfied with the present situation of refuse and garbage in Lagos, vote Ambody out. He's not a god. It's time we start getting people to pay for their sins, irrespective of what his intentions are. Get him out of office. Let people start to know that you work for the people, and if the people are not satisfied with what you do, get him out of the place. It's as simple as that. I'm hoping that I'm not trying to start a revolution or something, but all I'm saying is that in Nigeria, we tend not to look at the policies or the things that our leaders do in how we vote. The issue of refuse and garbage is a huge problem in Lagos today. This had better be solved in the next few months, otherwise it's just going to get worse. But either way, if the voting people of Lagos think this is a big enough issue, they should not bring him back to power next year. So I'll take a quick break. When I come back, I'm going to do a story that pretty controversial, but it's a Texas story and maybe an American story. Let's take that break and I'll be right back. Welcome back. Let me finish today's program with something that's actually unique to us here in Texas. Texas is one of the few states that actually still, and I don't want to call it a law, but they had to make it a law, that at least says that you must conform with the gender at birth in anything you're doing. I mean, we have that bathroom ordinance that we fought for so many years out here in Houston and in the States generally, where, you know, it became mandatory that, you know, if you're a woman, even if you now claim or you're transgendering or moving to become a man, you'll not be allowed to use a men's bathroom. You're going to still use a woman's bathroom because that's what's on your birth certificate. I mean, it's very controversial. I mean, a lot of people really don't like discussing it because really there are very few people that are transgenders and all that, but it's becoming an issue. And we had one this week. There was a young lady who's a transgender. She's trying to become a man. And this is her second year that she's winning the state wrestling championship in the 6A, which is the 6A of high school at the biggest schools in Texas. She won it last year and she won it again this year. I missed a whole load of boos. I mean, I feel sorry for the young lady or for the young man in this case, because that's what she wants to be called now. But because of Texas law and Texas regulations, she had to fight as a girl because that's what she is, or that is what she was at birth. I mean, you see, I'm even confused. I don't know whether that is what she is or what was, you know, it's all confusing. And that's really the problem I'm talking about. This transgender issue is going to tear this country apart. It's going to tear us as human beings apart. I don't have a problem. Look, I've had friends when we were in high school in Nigeria that you felt some of your male friends. I went to all male school, boarding school, Catholic school. There were some friends of yours that you thought were a little bit too feminine. But that didn't mean they wanted to change to become girls. I didn't think that was necessary. I mean, if you believe in nature, let's leave it as it is. If you come as a girl, you come as a girl. You might behave like a boy, that's fine. We used to call them tomboys. I mean, that's okay. But let me finish this story quickly because I think it's important for us. Those of us here out here, even though I said it's not really a huge problem or concern for me, but it's a story that you need to know. So here is this young lady who's trying to transgender to become male, and I started the process. So she is on steroids and testosterone and all that, trying to build her up to look more manly and all that. But she's having to fight as a girl. And she's beating up everybody, even though, you know, I watched one of her interviews. She said, look, I'm ready to fight boys because that's what I am now. But the laws and the rules here would not allow her to do that, because our rule here in Texas simply states that she has to fight as her birth certificate states, and her birth certificate says she was born as a girl. So it's very interesting that she's using band enhancements, you know, to do this, and she has no choice really. But why is it allowed? Because it's not government. I was going to say government recommended. It's it's a prescription. And that is fine, because really, even at international tournaments, if they do find out you use the banned substance, and if it's a doctor's prescription for a particular thing that they didn't know would have an effect and all that, they'll kind of let you go and all that. In this case, and that's what's happening. But it's been a huge this past weekend when she won this thing. She was I mean, they booed her throughout the tournament, throughout the 3-4 day tournament. And I'm happy for her. She got through it. She won a second state championship. She's hoping to fight at the next level, which is college. And the NCAA doesn't have that rule that you must fight as the gender in which you were born, or that's on your birth certificate. So I think if she's going to get a scholarship or going to fight at the next level, she's probably going to have to fight as a man. And but I wish her luck. I mean, but this was just a story I said I needed to bring to the people. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's program. It's been one that, you know, there were just so many things. But again, let's not forget the 100 girls that have been taken again from within our midst by the terrorists, the Boko Haram group. Let's not forget them. Let's keep them in our prayers, and then we see how soon this can be solved. So I'll see you all next week. Have a good day. Bye-bye.